Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. We just wanted to give you a little quick video with an update on the mass shootings you guys probably been seeing about in Colorado. So the shooter's name, he was 21-year-old Hamed Aliwi Alisa. Here's a picture of him. And the reason I wanted to get into this, as you see here, I took a picture. So a lot of the news articles are vague. You may go through a comment thread and see people saying, you know, they'll make sly comments like, oh, he must have had mental issues or something. Because if you read deep into the article, you'll see that it was a 21-year-old Syrian ISIS-driven immigrant who hated America. But the titles are so vague, you would just think it's another white guy and why we would need gun control. But then you see here, if you look up the Atlanta shooting last week, there's a clear picture of the white man that did it. So, Rob, this is a big thing. What's going on? We get so into this.
I don't know, man. I would try to. I want to try and say his name, but I don't want to embarrass myself. So Ahmad, like you said, 21-year-old Syrian dude who is clearly not the white person that's probably being portrayed out there. And like you said, the news outlets out there aren't going to be releasing certain parts of the information just because they want to have the portrayal to help out the whole gun restriction argument. How the mass shootings wouldn't happen if we had more restrictions. So right now we're seeing that funny enough, I'm actually on a website called arabnews.com, and they have a whole article on them. Well, in Colorado, some grocery store, much like a supermarket like Publix or whatever, places had great restrictions on guns, saying that I just lost my page. My bad. So yeah, so these guys have strict gun control policies inside their store. Obviously, he chose that for a particular reason. He went out on March 16th, I think it was, to buy himself an AR-15 type weapon. It says in the article, and he went down there, shot up 10 people, killed an officer who was on his off-duty officer, 51-year-old officer. He died along with 9 other people. The video footage you can find of the police showing up, the whole news set being there, is a guy being walked out with a bloody leg. They don't say necessarily who it was. They don't say if it was the shooter or not. They also say that the person was in the hospital, was escorted in there by the cops and escorted. I think he's being escorted out today. I think it was today. He was escorted out. Still not saying that he was the person who did it. They're really not releasing much information on the person. But
Well, see, and now I know you might be listening and say, oh, but they did say who it is. We're not saying they don't say who it is. I'm saying how they try to manipulate us and how they successfully manipulate many people. Because my point is the titles are vague. If you click the article and read it, you will see the man, his name, his background, but you could just tell by reading the comment threads alone. Not only are these being posted 24/7, you do not have. I actually had to go out of my way to find the picture I showed you of the man in the beginning of this clip. So, whereas if you go on Facebook or like last week, they were blowing up the face of the white shooter in Atlanta and it sparked Asian Lives Matter. You could check our description. We did an episode about everything that went on last week with Asian Lives and the Atlanta shooting in our podcast below. But, you don't have to go out of your way to find a picture of the white man. Most people don't read the articles. That's clear in the comment thread because everyone thinks it's a white guy. They leave the title vague, knowing most of you won't read it. But here's another thing I got. My favorite thing to do every time there's a mass shooting is look up Chicago shootings. And look, yesterday, 15 people, 3 fatally. On Monday, 21 shot, 4 fatally over the weekend. And that's a normal weekend in Chicago. And what they'll do, though, because this is a heavy gun control city. So if you're watching this from another country, not all of America has gun rights and is all, gun crazy or whatever you call it. But now these people blame their gun crime. You actually have the mayor of Chicago blames their gun crime on Iowa because they're right over the bridge from Iowa where guns are legal. But the thing that makes no sense about that, the city of Chicago alone, Not even the state of Illinois. The city of Chicago has more gun crime and gun violence than the whole entire state of Iowa. So the fact that they even
Hmm.
have the balls to blame it on them, it's like this is all brainwash. I'm not saying shootings aren't bad. I'm not saying shootings don't happen. But I'm saying this is all brainwash to try to make middle America willingly disarm. And over the last decade, you've seen it more and more, and it's been working. I mean, it has been working at least to a scary enough extent if you really look around. I mean, I remember after the school shootings, you go back 5, 10 years ago, yeah, it was viral for people to burn their guns and blah blah blah. But really, I mean, most of these shootings happen, like we said before, in gun free zones. If these stores and businesses and buildings didn't, if they allowed people to carry, because most people that are just citizens that open carry, like if you see someone shopping with a handgun on their side, there's never a mass shooting situation where that's how the guy started off. No one's just sitting there, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy some eggs before I rip this bitch up. No. And
Yeah.
the mass shooter's gonna see, oh, there's no guns there. Why do you think schools are a big spot? Schools should at least have fucking 1 or 2 security guards patrolling the outside of the building at least. With
Armed security guard. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying I get why there's none inside. That makes sense. But you could hire 1 or 2 guys outside that could fucking see a shady guy walk up to the building. There, half these schools don't even have people watching the front door besides one person at the front desk who's unarmed.
Yeah, it's fucked up shit. Well, you have a good point too, which I want to get into, is how, like you said, Chicago. Just you said 16 people were injured, 3 dead. Now, the thing about that is the fact that this is a mass shooting. But now you've tried looking up what a mass shooting really the details are. It always changes, like what qualifies as a mass shooting. A couple years ago, it was 3 or more deaths would qualify a mass shooting. This year, I think it's four more deaths qualify for a mass shooting. So obviously, they're going to try and take this to try and obviously accelerate something or upset and infuriate people out there who are advocates trying to take away your guns, and it's just complete bullshit. Meanwhile, they're trying to say this stuff about how, like, it's all these illegal gun owners, all kind of stuff. This is the major gun issue out there. Everybody's out there doing this stuff. It's highly a problem in America. Only America has this problem, and it's like, well, we really aren't the only ones with this problem. It does happen all over the world, especially if you look at other countries, like well, let's just say places like Venezuela. Look at places like in Saudi Arabia, Middle East, pretty much. Gun violence is extremely fucking crazy compared to America. But yeah, so they're gonna use this to accelerate their argument. I find this ridiculous. And then obviously, like you said, in Georgia, they were saying it was a white man who went out there out of his way to kill Asian people, Asian hate crimes. That popped up, became an issue. But they're not talking about Chicago. Chicago, every single day a shooting happens, and like you said, in the most gun restricted place, one of the most gun restricted areas in the U.S. country, alongside of New York City and L.A. and San Francisco, one of the most strict gun policies ever. They have probably the highest gun crime, like the most highest fatality gun crime rates in all of America, and we don't really want to talk about that. Why? Because it doesn't fit their agenda, doesn't fit their narrative, because they are a democratic left, hard left state that believes less guns, no guns, and yet they had the highest fucking rates of gun crime and death. Well, take it as it is. That's just my 2 cents.
Oh yeah, what a lot of people don't realize, America, no matter what your political stance is, or even if you're political at all, we're a very self-centered nation. We're the only nation, basically, that our regular news isn't world news. We're just fixated on ourselves. Shit like this happens everywhere. Everywhere. You just don't hear about it. I mean, the only time you really hear world news is if something really big happens in another country, or you're looking for news around the world. Whereas, if you watch the news in UK, regular 5 o'clock hour news, you're hearing what's going on in Ireland, Japan, Germany. They know what's going on in the world. So it's not like here where we think America is the entire planet, whether we realize we do or not. But yeah, I mean, even look at the UK. I mean, you need They have strict knife policies, and officers aren't armed, and people get stabbed all the time. They have more stabbings per capita than we have shootings. You know, not to mention that we've said before how 60% of our gun deaths are suicides. And then there's another chunk that's justifiable self defense. And then you have,
Hmm.
but see, this is the thing that bugs me out that people don't realize. Because I know a lot of people that invest in Bitcoin that don't even know what Bitcoin is used for. Now, if you do, you might think this is obvious and I'm an asshole, whatever. But I'm saying there's a lot of, like, I have a lot of older friends and family that don't even get what Bitcoin really is. They just know it's good and invest in it. But the thing that makes Bitcoin grow is it's used primarily on the dark web for illegal transactions, and that's what people don't realize. You could live anywhere in the world, and if you have a couple of $1,000s, you could buy a gun illegally off the street anywhere. Not to mention, anyone can access the dark web with two simple downloads and purchase a firearm anywhere on the planet. So any policy, anything, if gun control worked, forget the states. I mean, even look at Hawaii. They have strict gun laws. So there goes your argument that bordering states with loose gun laws are the issue, because Hawaii has a decent amount of shootings too. And I don't know who they're attached to, but I mean, they managed to get the
Yeah.
guns there. I mean, every country has shootings.
Yeah. Well, I hate to freaking turn this randomly to sideways, but trying to pronounce that dude's name right now is really killing me. And I'm just looking through the article. The article actually brings up the brother too. Literally, every single one of their names starts with an A. So the brother's name is Aliwi Alisa, and the dude's name is Ahmed Al Aliwi Alisa. I mean, it's almost like they tried making like a funny to themselves, like Sally sold seashells by the seashore. Like they're trying to practice on their fucking their tongue twisters and shit. But the fucking names are so fucking stupid. But yeah, so I'm looking at it right now. So his article says that he had a history of being violent. He shows it in his affidavit. His criminal history shows a single charge for third degree assault in 2018. The brother Ali says that he was antisocial and always paranoid. He graduated from school in 2018. We already know that kind of shit, but they basically say that he had a history of basically showing that he was like always on edge, not really all there all the time. Obviously, like I said before, this is all going to be fuel Joe Biden's whole entire anti-gun policy, like we were talking about before. And even Nancy Pelosi came out on Tuesday saying like this is why we need stricter gun laws. It's just ridiculous to me. I'm over this fucking bullshit. When are people going to realize that it's not having less guns is not going to solve the problem? More
Oh
guns would.
yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Like, a lot of people like to, whenever it benefits what they're talking about, especially leftists, they like to say, "Oh, well, what's the per capita? What's the percentage?" But if you look up gun deaths around the world, like Brazil is first and America is second, but they're showing the amount of deaths, not the percentages, not the per capita. So
Yeah.
when you go to per capita, we're like, I think we're like fucking eighth or something, which isn't even that bad since fucking we are a heavily populated nation. I mean, there's nations above us with like less than 500,000 people. It's
Hmm. Yep.
so this is just brainwash to get people want to disarm. I mean, do what I do, really, you guys listening. Anytime you see the media blowing up a mass shooting, look at that. Like this time, like we stated, the guy wasn't white, so they're vague about the killer in the headlines. When the guy's white, they put his name, they blow him, his picture will be the thumbnail, everything else, and it'll pull up in your face. We're not saying that it's not anywhere. We're saying you have to look for it to find it. Whereas when it's a white guy and it makes the Second Amendment look bad, you don't have to look for it. You'll find it scrolling on Facebook or Twitter for 3 seconds. So that's
Well,
the difference.
yeah. Well, the thing about this is that this is not a white man. This is someone who is of a culture that they're trying to make look good. Not saying that they're all bad, but he's trying to, get away, get the bad taste out of all the Americans' mouth for this kind of certain culture and race. But right now they're just going to go with the whole mass shooting idea. They're going to try and sweep the other side of it under the rug. Yes, he's a Syrian, blah blah blah, but don't forget this is why we need more gun control. Whereas if it's a white guy, they're going to try and blow that up with the whole gun control thing, along with the whole white supremacy, saying how white people are obviously incoherently racist. Like, they just are racist down to the bone no matter what. Like, you need to be less white.
Oh
So
yeah.
it pushes two narratives at the same time, which is why that gets blown up so big compared to, say, just a regular shooting, which is still fucking sad.
Well, the main reason I even wanted to make this video, I keep arguing with people, and I feel like I'm gonna have a stroke on the comment threads, because I've had people, for example, when I said the store, because Colorado's a carry state, and they were like, I was like, well, the store had a no gun policy. They were like, and this is how like shot these people are, like fucking. She was like, this lady was like, oh well, yeah, but he could legally open carry it to the front door. It's like, yo, how far is a walk from a car to a store? This guy could have that shit assembled in his car, pull up front. It's not like he's going to find a parking spot. He's about to fucking rip a bunch of people up. It's like,
yeah, what does he care?
Literally, you could buy a gun off the street in New York or Los Angeles and have it in the car. And if you don't get caught on the way there, you could start ripping up a store. I mean,
exactly. You're going to commit the crime. You don't give a fuck about the law. The sign is not going to stop you. It's not like there's some kind of invisible barrier that's going to stop you, prevent you from walking through the fucking sliding door. You have a gun. If you want to get inside with the fucking gun and cause harm to people, you're going to do it. It doesn't matter. It just shows that people who are abiding by the law and the rules of the fucking store who aren't carrying, they're the victims.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, for example, like if you were gonna shoot a random store, you got to put your mind in the head of a sick fuck. Are you gonna shoot up a gun store or a bakery? Like,
yeah, even you talk about the fucking mentality of the fucking people saying like, oh, you can't carry. The sign says you can't carry, and it's just like, what the hell do you think? Like some kind of fucking mass shooting killer, somebody who's gonna commit the crime, walks up, sees the sign, goes, ah, fuck, shit, I gotta go to the next one. Like what the fuck?
Oh yeah. Well, see.
It's not going to stop anybody. It's just
the whole gun policies, especially in big business, because you have like Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target. A lot of them like are against open carry, even if the state allows it. But the whole thing about it helps them stay in the pockets with the leftist government, and it also because a lot of them have no gun policies for money reasons. So actually the fact that they have a no gun policy kills two birds with one stone for them, because it doesn't make them liable if a shooting occurs. Like they'd rather you be less safe than be liable for you protecting yourself. And it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind, because people get that unnerving feeling. Like that's how it is here in Nevada now too. We're an open carry state, but majority of people that live here are from California, and the sight of guns like make them make a black guy turn white, that grew up in LA in a nice area. Yeah. So it's like, so they just try to make their, customers comfortable, but it fucks us in the end. I mean, that's a good example right there. I mean, this shooting, it happened in a gun-free zone. And look at a state. I'm telling you, you're going to see more shootings, especially under the Biden administration. They're going to blow every single little shooting out of proportion, just like NBC did and CNN did when Trump was president, trying to make the right look bad, even though he was enacting strict gun laws anyway. But, yeah. it's just, this shit makes me feel like I'm going to stroke out. It's like, how does seeing a shooting at a grocery store make you want to get rid of guns? If anything, that should make you realize why you should consider getting one yourself. I mean, the government banning guns isn't going to protect your family. And I know people have the argument that armed people do run away if they can. And yeah, it's like if I'm armed and I'm out with like my family or kids and we could get away, I'm not going to fucking put myself or the kids in danger. I mean, you're not, just because you choose to carry doesn't make you like a first responder. That's like a straight emergency, you're cornered situation. You don't have to be a fucking hero.
Yeah. No, you're right.
It's true. It's like, and then that's one of their reasons to do it. Oh, well, an armed guy ran. It's like, all right, well, what the fuck would you do for him? Why does he have to protect you? He's just a citizen that has a little
It's just
extra
more.
protection.
It's just more. It's just more likely that you walk into a place or you're around a populace where there's more armed people. You're probably not going to try and rob a fucking store with a gun because, you know what? More or less, there's definitely going to be a person. Might not be you, might not be me, might not be whatever, but there's going to be a person out there in an armed populace that's going to say, "Fuck it, I got a clear shot. I'm taking it."
Well, exactly, and that's
That's the
why.
point.
But that's why you see a lot of armed people that run because they could be in a store with 100 people, and when no one acts, they assume they're the only ones with a gun. No one's gonna run out first. I mean, like
Well,
that cop that got killed, bro. It's like
yeah.
because people will say, "Oh, even a cop got killed." It's like exactly. So why the fuck would I run now if I'm in a corner?
Mhm.
That's a different story.
Yeah. But not to beat a dead horse, the final thing I want to say is no law and no fucking little piece of paper sign is gonna fucking make a guy go walk up to a store or stop him from purchasing an illegal weapon, doing something illegal, and this is not fathomable. It's just people don't realize the fucking mentality of the people when you hit that point when you just don't give a fuck anymore. They're not gonna walk up like I said before, walk up to the fucking thing and go, ah shit, they got me again. All right, I'm going to 7-Eleven now. Let's see if they got the fucking sign. They just don't give a shit. That's it. They're gonna walk in and say, "Oh, gun-free zone." Shit, I'm the only one with the gun. I'm doing it. It's on. But That's all I gotta say, pretty much, on this whole
Yeah.
entire thing. For everybody out there who might have been who have been involved or knows anybody who was involved in the shooting, the fatal shooting, my sympathies, my condolences go out to them. It really sucks. It's a lot of bullshit. This stuff shouldn't happen, but it does happen. That's why we all got to be armed and prepared for something that does go down like this. At least we can protect ourselves.
Yes, I agree. And the last thing I wanted to say is pay attention to that. And I'm talking about viral news that's being shoved down our throats. All right. Next time you see an article that keeps popping up whenever there's another mass shooting, that day, Google Chicago shootings. That it's simple as that. There's always multiple. And ask yourself, why isn't that being shoved down my throat? And realize it's because they don't want you to see that sensible gun control laws are actually more dangerous because the criminals know you're defenseless. All right, they're going to happen everywhere. But if there's no way you could go to protect yourself, then the country will truly be fucking terrible, a terrible place to live. I mean, if they buy back all the guns, they're not going to buy back all the illegal ones, and that's just going to leave criminals and the cops you hate so much armed. So, we love you guys. Don't forget to check out this week's episode 28. I don't even remember. Oh, yeah, the Superspreaders and Asian Hate, which we recapped everything that went on last week. We hope you guys enjoy. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, share our stuff to help us with the algorithm. We love you guys. We will see you for episode 29 on Monday, and have a great day.